So some of the barrels for the AKM actually received a pretty neat buff with the launch of the new season, which means that I have to redo my AKM build because those barrels are now a lot better. And my old AKM build is getting pretty old, albeit I did do a hipfire one not too long ago, but I'll have to redo that one too because one of the barrels is the performance barrel and they buffed it in the sense that that specific barrel does 52 damage to the head, which is a 2x headshot damage multiplier, and then most of the other barrels do 34 damage to the thorax. So I wanted to share my preferred AKM build with all of you. So let's grab our beautiful looking AK here, and we're going to start off by changing the barrel. So as you can see, you have a lot of options here. Now, most of them do 34 damage to the thorax, except the AKM performance barrel, which gives you that increased headshot damage multiplier at 52. So you're doing 2x headshot damage. Practical long barrel, yeah, you see you're doing 26 damage to the thorax. All these other barrels actually do 34 damage to the chest. Now, the one we're going to be going for equipping is the AKM Beaver long barrel combo, which gives us increased range, that nice damage buff on the thorax, and extra control and stability, which is perfect. For the muzzle now, the AKM does kick quite a bit because it's shooting a pretty large round. So we're going to go ahead and put the Bastion horizontal compensator on here to really mitigate that horizontal recoil that gets pretty punishing the longer you fire. Then for the foregrip, I tried a bunch of different foregrips, the ones that specifically negate the horizontal recoil, but it just felt better to shoot with the X25U angled combat grip, so I just opted for this one. Now for the magazine, you actually have quite a lot of options here, but the one I went for is just the AKM 30 round polymer mag that gives you a boost in handling. The other ones, this one costs you 6 handling for 10 extra rounds, and then this one obviously costs you 12 handling for a lot more rounds, but I just felt like I was doing a lot better, and I have the tendency to reload a lot, but if you don't, then this one might be a little bit better for you, or maybe if you're playing AD, I play a lot of King of the Hill, so this is the mag that I chose to go for because I didn't want to lose out on all that handling and all those stats, so I'm going to install that. Then obviously the mag mount, which just gives you +1 handling. For the rear grip, I went with the AK Heavy Tower Grip because I wanted to be able to put the stable grip base on here, which gives you a massive +7 stability, which is awesome. For the stock, now I was flip-flopping between two different stocks here. So the first one that you might see some footage of in the video is the AK Polymer stock. So if you equip that, it gives you positives across the board, and you conserve the stock pad attachment that you can put on here. But ultimately, the one that I ended up, deciding to go for is the wire stock or the folding stock right here, because it gives you a small bump in handling. And you also keep that stock pad attachment slot that you can equip on this. Now, the difference between this stock and the AKM polymer stock, which is this one, is that you simply get more handling with the folding stock, and I felt like the ADS with this specific one was a little bit too long, which is why I opted for the other one, and you're basically just losing out on a few points of control and stability and a few points of accuracy, but I felt like it performed very well with the folding stock and better with that extra handling with the snappier ADS time. For the charging handle, obviously just equip it. There's no downsides. For the optic, I went with the OKP7 because it is a Russian weapon, so I opted for something that was also Russian, so go ahead and equip that or put your red dot of choice here. And then for all three of these patches, I went with the Ranger handguard panel because even if I was putting more stability on this weapon, it wasn't actually giving me that good of a stat boost because you do get diminishing returns if you put too much stability, and I saw that even if I upgraded this a little bit, it was giving me really minimal bumps and like recoil reduction when holding breath, so I just opted to go for the Ranger handguard panels to just mitigate some of that recoil. And then we're going to put a laser on here to get that 50 millisecond boost in ADS speed when you have it on, and obviously it's very good for hip firing as well. So if we go to the calibration now, for the barrel, we're going to go with +50 grams and +10 millimeters, giving you extra muzzle velocity and extra firing stability. I don't recommend using AKM at really long ranges unless you put like just a ton of points into control. It's probably going to be pretty difficult to control at those longer ranges just because it has such chunky recoil, and the ADS time is going to be pretty abysmal. So you're going to want to use this weapon at like 60-ish meters, but it hits like an absolute truck. For the foregrip, we're going with +2 slots to get extra control and -20 millimeters to get extra ADS movement speed. For the rear grip, we're simply going to go with +50 grams to get extra control, and then I went with +16% stability when moving. If I put it to +4% hipfire aim speed, the stability when moving was getting a little bit iffy, and I just felt felt like it was working better for me if having that extra stability when moving, or pretty much counteracting the one that we just negated earlier. For the stock, we're going with plus 50 and plus 50 to get extra firing stability and extra control. Then for the optic, we're going with negative 20 millimeters in eye relief. Now, if we look at the details panel here before going into some clips and my ramblings, you can see the damage, 34 damage to the chest. So this weapon has an incredibly fast time to kill if you're aiming mid-mass right at the thorax. Then obviously if you're mixing in headshots, it's even faster. Control, it's actually pretty decent the way I have it set up here. So you can see you're getting 0.48x vertical recoil multiplier and 0.3x horizontal recoil multiplier, but you can see there's still some slight deviations here to the right and to the left, but it's pretty manageable overall. For the handling, now taking into account that we have the laser on here, it's going to be 394 milliseconds. It's slightly long, but if you play around it, it performs very well, and the accuracy isn't too bad either, so you can pretty decently hip fire people down without too much of an issue, even if they're a little bit further. For the stability, we're getting plus 12 here, so this didn't change a whole lot, but you do still get some recoil reduction when you're holding your breath. And then you can see all the rest of here. The lens firing stability is absolutely awesome. And finally, for the accuracy, 53, which is exactly the base accuracy of the AKM. Now, in order to use this specific build, you will need to level up the AKM to level 83, at which point you unlock the barrel. So that's pretty much at the end of the leveling for the AKM that has a maximum of 90 levels, so you might want to use some of those weapon XP cards that you've been saving, or maybe you already have the AKM maxed out. One more thing that I want to mention about the AKM before I just go rambling on is this weapon specifically has weird recoil pattern in the sense that the first two shots kick the weapon down for some reason, and it's really weird. So we're just gonna, you can see, I'm going to slow it down again here and just fire it off again. And then it goes back up. So the first two shots go down, 2-3 shots go down, and then it goes up as regular recoil does with a weapon. But it's very particular. So when you first start firing off the weapon, you might see your shots like hit the groin or something. So you may have to counter compensate for that and then compensate for the upward recoil that's going to have when it's past those few couple of shots. So burst firing this weapon is not the greatest tactic. So I had already made a video on the AKM buff, but I wanted to actually present my build and share it with all of you in a video of its own, because the AKM is really probably my favorite assault rifle right now. It absolutely destroys people. I think the TTK on this thing, if you're aiming mid-mass, is like 200 milliseconds up to that 35-meter range, considering that we have increased range because of the barrel, which is absolutely insane. It is technically the fastest TTK weapon in the game when you're hitting those shots right in the thorax with 34 damage, because it's only taking you 3 shots to kill, and it has a decent enough fire rate that allows you to really dispatch enemies quickly. Obviously, if you're getting more like limb shots and stuff like that, the TTK will be slightly longer, more so similar to what it was before. I think it was like 260-ish something milliseconds. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the AKM is an absolute powerhouse, and there's a reason why so many people are using it right now, because the buff that they gave the barrels is just absolutely fantastic, and it really brings the AKM up to another level, as opposed to before where it was, you know, a pretty decent rifle, but people would just use the more meta weapons. Now, albeit this weapon does kick quite a bit, as I've said early in the video, so if you're looking for something that's going to be better at those longer ranges, this is really not the option. You're going to want to stay in that like 50 to 70-ish meter range, because further than that, the recoil is going to be probably too much to control, albeit you can still hold your breath, and it's going to mitigate some of that as well. And honestly, it's really good practice for everybody to hold their breath when they're getting into longer range engagements. It's just going to make your shots a lot easier to control and hopefully land on the enemy. But that'll be it for today's video. As per usual, the share code will be in the description down below, as well as in the top pinned comment. Let me know as well down there if you would like to see a weapon featured in an upcoming video. In any case, I'll leave you with a few highlight clips of me using the specific build or the other one with the AKM polymer stock. They were very similar, honestly. If you wanted something with a little bit more control and stability, go with the polymer. If you want more handling, go for the actual folding stock. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.
Giving first aid! Enemy here! Medic! I'm here!
on the cusp of victory.
Shred them!